The CKM Network presents the top 8 Rodion versus Ugluk. Let's look at the CKM KFPL keys to victory for Rodion versus Ugluk. First, we look at Rodion, a player out of Brazil with no team affiliation. Today, Rodion is playing his trusty loyal lady Guinevere as he has all tournament long. This deck prides itself on efficient Logos value plays and dominant Mars board pressure with Amber Disruption from the Shadows house. The helper bots will look to be the all-stars as the Logos value engine will be running rampant and the Martians will be looking to cheat out a key with their assistance. Ugluk is coming at us from Canada, part of Team Sanctimonious, known as the Lord of Adaptive. Ugluk is readying up his favorite adaptive deck, Vivian, who looks to glorify the Sanctum name. The Amber speed potential of this deck has shown its worth in many a games already this tournament, and the clever timing of Rigged Lottery has piqued the rush aspect of this deck at times. Old Bruno assisting the Knight seems an odd pairing, but anything for profit. Mars creeps in the background as well as it looks to leave its mark in the key column or disrupt the board state with clever shenanigans. So which of these two gentlemen will pilot their ladies with the most value to win the game? The key to victory here will be who can generate the most value off of their engines. If you're enjoying this video, please remember to like it and support our cause. And now the time for your feature matches here, and we'll be starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, go! Welcome to this top 8 showdown between Ugluk and Rodion. This is Jupiter from Manlius, New York, and I'm bringing to you the first of our 4 top 8 matches where we'll see Guinevere versus Vivian. With Vivian in Ugluk's corner and Guinevere in Rodion's corner. Both of these gentlemen have played these fine decks throughout the tournament and have been very successful, so this should be an amazing game. Ugluk has a lot to live up to here as he is known as the Lord of Adaptive, so he is by namesake a favorite to win this tournament. And so far he has been a thrill to watch. But Rodion has come out of nowhere from Brazil and staked a claim, at least at the table, as one of the best players in the world. So we see the opening hand here, we come out with a Lamindra. This Lamindra looks like it's going to be answered by 2 Yansi Gangs and a long fused Mines, and then in turn will be passed over back to Ugluk. Looks like Ugluk is going to choose to go Sanctum here. He's going to play Take Hostages, play out some of these actions to get some pips, the Blinding Light to stop the Yancy Gangs, adds Marmook to the table, and adds a artifact, Potion of Invulnerability, and then passes back to Rodion. Looks like Rodion is going to go into Mars here. He's going to use his Key Abduction to get some Amber, play the Combat Pheromones, use to destroy them all to take Marmook and the Potion of Invulnerability out, and then just end his turn after playing Mars Needs Amber, just to spike his Amber count up and send it back to Ugluk. So here we're going to see Ugluk take his turn. It looks like he's going into the Mars house. He's going to play the Gromid. Using the spike to get Amber, using the Mars first to reap with Gromid, then he's using the Key Abduction to bring it back to his hand to discard it, and basically just get as much value as he can out of his Martian house. Well played. Looks like Rodion is off into the Logos house for this turn, so we see the Librarian come down, which is going to be great for archiving cards. He will also have an Igor to play here, a Professor Sutterkin, and a Director of ZYX, which is going to give him a lot of engine here. So now you see him play the Igor. He gets to choose one of 3 cards to put into his hand. I'll be curious to see what he picks here. See if he can hit another Logos engine or if he's going to hit something else that'll have more value for him in the long run. Taking his time to make his decision. Must be a tough one. and he decides on a miasma. So he pulls a miasma maybe a little bit too late. It would be nice to have a helper bot to feed that miasma, but either way, he'll be happy with the ZYX and the librarian online and a Sutterkin threatening the board, and he passes his turn back over to Ugluk after he archives a card from his librarian. So here Ugluk looks like he's picking shadows, and he's going to deal with that Sutterkin using a Nerve Blast, and maybe Oubliette the director. Yeah, the director of ZYX, I would say. Getting some of the engines off the board for him, and then he uses the Miasma to basically gain him an Amber Pip as he moves forward, but he did generate a key this turn, so now the ball is back in Rodion's court. So on this turn, Rodion looks like he's going to go Shadows. He's going to exhaust his two Yancey gangs to get those stuns off. Plays a special delivery. Going to throw his whistling darts, it looks like, for add some amber to the pool. He's going to play a Dust Chronicle, putting his Collector Worm, I would assume, into the archive. And then maybe play his Miasma for an extra amber and draw a whole new hand. And then get to put something away again with the Titan Librarian. So the Titan Librarian is getting lots of value here, and it's kind of what he wants to do, but he is still a little bit behind, but he is threatening to make a key this turn. So turn goes back over to Ugluk. Looks like this turn Ugluk will be going into Mars. He uses his fixed finger, plays Collector Worm, uses Mars first to ready his Collector Worm, and then he's going to fight his Collector Worm into Yancey Gang and eat a Yancey Gang and pass turn back to Rodion. So it looks like Rodion is going to go into a Logos turn here, and he's going to strike some value. He's going to reap with Igor, reap with the Librarian. See the standardized testing coming here to wipe out the worm. That's pretty solid. But it will get rid of what? It will get rid of his Yancey gang, which I don't think he would care at this point. Yeah. And then he's got an Igor here to dig, and he has the helper bot to pin back in his librarian, and I guess he could bring to the board the collector worm and have a good threat on the board there, as Ugluk has had his board decimated, and the value is of this Logos is starting to show itself, as he was able to forge a key at the beginning of this turn as well. So we are up 1-1 on keys, and the control aspects of this board state are starting to come through. So it'd be interesting to see how and if Ugluk can answer. Ugluk looks to come quickly back into his turn as he goes into Sanctum here. Looks like he discards the Prince and plays Barista Joya, plays Abad, and passes back to Rodion. I'm guessing the reason he did that is because he wanted to be able to come back and use the value of Prince later when there's a better chance and not get it hidden by the Collector Worm, since he only has a handful of cards left in his deck. So he has a better chance of spiking that Amber later. So I'm assuming that's why he made that play. But we'll see where Rodion goes with his next turn. Looks like Rodion has decided to go into the Mars house. You can expect a Collector Worm to have a snack and eat the Barista Joy at some point. There's the unit. The Think Drone, the Collector Worm, does go into the Joya. Does he play the Mars Needs Amber here just to get some value, like get a pip out of it? Yep, he does. He chooses to do that. And he ends turn and draws a bunch more cards, as he only has one Amber and Ugluk is sitting at 4 again. It looks like we see Ugluk go into Sanctum, where he will have to make some plays here. He plays Free Markets, which spikes his Amber pretty good. He does reap with the Abad to get rid of one Amber. He discards a Vault Keeper. Probably because, again, he wants to use it in the rotation once it resets itself. And then it looks like he passes back to Rodion. Rodion. So it looks like Rodion is going to go into the Logos house here, and inside of the Logos house, he'll have lots of tools to work with here this turn. His hand is loaded up with some Logos. Looks like he's going to get some value off of playing a couple actions. Gonna throw down some Reap here. Uses combat pheromones to activate his Think Drone and his Collector Worm. Uses Collector Worm to clear the board of the Abad, giving him back some amber. Plays the Helper Bot now as well, and the Harlan Mindlock. No value there, but it means that he's not as big a threat. But he does add a body to the Sutterkin that he's going to tap the backside of that with, and then he's going to Reap out, and he's going to is he going to archive? He's going to archive the Long Fuse Mines, and he does that because he gets an Amber Pip off of it, and it needs a board to be effective. So putting it away for now will get him another Amber in the near future. And we go back over to Ugluk, and Ugluk's turn will be interesting as the race to 3 is on, and both decks are kicking at efficiency right now. So we see Ugluk start to make his move using an orbital bombardment. And he reveals exterminate, exterminate, and proliferator. He plays the proliferator and he discards pretty much well, he uses the exterminate to kill the other Sutterkin, so that was a good play there as he continues to deny the engine that Rodion is trying to produce, but they're tied up at 2-2 now, so it's anybody's race to the end here as Rodion gets ready to take his next turn. Here we see Rodion going back into Logos, where I think he's going to just put on a lot of amber pressure here and push his count to where he can make a key and make Ugluk have to deal with it. See the reaping engine going at this point. Lots of value. Oh, he uses the present to kill the proliferator as well, and he does get himself to 7 amber and passes his turn back to Ugluk. So Ugluk is into shadows here, and he's going to have to get kind of lucky to get out of check here. He does have 1 steal with the Nerve Blast. Dark Chronicles draws him a Merkins, so he's still alive. The Merkins can bring some kind of value to him. The Merkins was on the draw, so that does not get him there, and that will be 3 keys for Rodion and 2 keys for Ugluk. Close game. And I guess we'll be moving on to match number 2 shortly. What an exciting game. These are close. An exciting round, but let's get right back into the action. Back for game 2 with Rodion up 1-0 on Ugluk, as Ugluk is put with his back to the wall, but he gets to now play Rodion's deck Guinevere, and Rodion gets to play Vivian. So he comes out strong, showing a Sutterkin off of the go, and we'll see how Rodion is going to react to that. As Rodion looks to go into shadows, and he plays a rigged lottery to spike his amber to 2, but Ugluk hits a couple as well, so they are now both at 2. But he did hit the key abduction and got that out of the way, it looks like. It could be big in the long scheme of things. So we see Rodion finish his turn off with a Lamindra and a Dusk Chronicles. And hands back off to Ugluk, where Ugluk comes back with a Logos turn, where he is going to get an Igor. he is going to get like a lot of value here off of that Sutterkin, as he's going to be able to play the Mind Block and the Sutterkin at the least if he doesn't, and that's if he doesn't hit another Logos card, which is pretty ginormous actually. It's a pretty good advantage that he's generating here using that engine that was good. Oh, and he pulls a Mind Lock. That's pretty sweet. And there's Helper Bot, and he's trucking along at this point, putting down some cards. Another Sutterkin. Oof. That was a big turn for turn two right there, folks. Wasn't that awesome? And he's still making plays here. Like the helper bot is still in play as well. He's got cards for days on for a second turn. This is the kind of engine that Rodion wanted when he played this deck. We didn't quite see it, but man, what an explosion! This is the kind of thing that I've seen before from this deck, and this is the kind of value that I was talking about. The keyword being value for this set. So man, wow. And he ends with a long fused mines for just one more extra pip for the heck of it. So 4 amber in a board state and back to Rodion. So this turn seems pretty simple for Rodion, as he can go into shadows. He's going to play Nerve Blast to kill the 2 Sutterkins, take some of that value back from the big turn that Ugluk had on turn 2, and spike his amber count up to 6 here and pass it back over. See how Ugluk follows up that massive turn 2. Looks like he's going to be going into Mars here. He's going to play Extinction and wipe out some stuff. He plays Beam Buckler as well, Think Drone, and it looks like Collector Worm, and that will be Ugluk's turn. Um, so again, he can't stop the key, so Rodion is getting good pace out of Ugluk's deck, and he's up 1 key to 0 as he goes back to Rodion, and we'll see where this turn leads. So we'll see where Rodion goes. It looks like he's going to go into Sanctum, and in Sanctum, he's going to look to find some value here as he plays his Potion of Invulnerability, and now has to make a decision on what he's going to do here. Probably Blinding Light, take out the Mars suite right here would be the smarter move because of the 2 Collector Worms present on the board. And then he could play his 2 creatures safely to at least get some kind of board presence moving. And then he could discard the Golden Aura. That would be my assumption here. But we'll see where Rodion decides to go with it. And there goes the Blinding Light on the Mars as expected. So he does play his creatures. He does put them in the mix, both of them, and he plays Golden Aura just to play it, even though it didn't really have a reason or rhyme why. So now we see it go back to Ugluk, who is going to be quick into his turn, and he's going to start to put some damage on the board, using his logos here as much as he can to get some value here. So he's kind of telegraphing that he has Mars needs Amber by putting damage onto the Sanctum Knights, but there's not really anything I think that Rodion can do to suppress that at this point. But Ugluk also has not really drawn into something that it makes him want to go uh, into his Mars house right away either, because it would be like a maintenance turn where he would be cleaning up all the stuns and stuff that are on the Mars creatures and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see which of these lines Rodion is going to take here. He could go Sanctum here and get some value. He could go shadows for not as much value, or like I think Mars is pretty not is not something that's over conducive to a good turn here with the way his hand is set up, but we'll see what he decides to do. I guess he could play shadows and play the Lamindra to see if he could steal with the Sanctum next turn, but I think that's kind of being optimistic that there's no way for Ugluk to deal with that situation, which I'm pretty sure he knows his deck would have some kind of retribution for that, right? And so he does go the Shadows route, adding some damage with the, or adding some amber value to his pool, but not really that much. And then it goes right back to Ugluk, who be interesting to see what kind of turn he takes here. So he uses the long fuse mines, and then he discards Swindle, and he's going to populate as much shadows as he can since he had so much. And now he has a good Mars turn. If when he comes back to his turn, that will be able to reap some benefits here. But we'll see how Rodion handles this next turn as we look into the future here. He has some decisions to make. He has a decent amount of Mars here that he could maybe get some value paying off some stuff, but nothing too great. Like at this point, I think his tempo is kind of failing him in quality of play, but he's still up one key technically to none, even though Ugluk is looking to make a key next turn. So we are awaiting this next move by Rodion as we look to see what his response to this is going to be. He has a couple of options here that he could go into. He could go into Sanctum here and get some kind of value out of the Sanctum if he wanted to, or he could try to push his luck with the Mars and the Orbital Bombardment, but it looks like he is going to go into Sanctum here, and he is going to get some value off of playing the hostages in the shield, and he's going to use it to wipe out some of this board state that he's not too keen on, so he's going to take out the Yancey gang to protect his Amber, and he'll reap with Derek to put himself up to check. Yep, and then he will be passing turn. So he does get a little bit more value for his orbital bombardment, so that's interesting. And we'll see where that takes us as that goes forward. And currently we move back to Ugluk, who looks like he's going back into Mars himself. And he's going to start to do some Mars needs amber shenanigans, and he's going to use that to make sure he captures back some of that amber and pushes his key count, since both players are at one key now, so the race to two is on, and we see the amber conduction unit come down, which will make it so that the first creature that is reaped with will get stunned now. So that's pretty big. That's a good disruption card to slow down some of the shenanigans that might be wanting to be played here. And then he collects amber off of the gatekeeper by getting rid of it. So now we are back into the ballpark where we see Rodion with a pretty stout hand in Mars. And the key here, I think, for him is that he has his orbital bombardment, which he's going to definitely use. And I think he can use 4 points of his own damage to kill the unifier, and then use the other damage wherever he wants, and then use the Flotsam Spike to clear most of Ugluk's board. I obviously would probably put the other, what would it be, 2/4 damage. I'd put 2 of it on the shock worm, and I'd put the other 2 on the collector worm just to take down the amber. But I don't want to necessarily like waste those points too much. But I definitely don't want to kill the shock worm and leave 2 collector worms, as I think that would be a pretty horrible proposition. But we'll see where Rodion takes us on this next journey. as he's contemplating what he wants to do here too. But I think that's really his only line, is to use that Foxham spike to the fullest of its advantage. I wonder if like but we'll see what kind of value we get. As you guys can hear Harlan in the background, he is up and awake and doing fun things on his school thing and being loud. So sorry, it's part of having an autistic kid. If I was getting paid professionally to do this, I wouldn't have that, but this isn't what I do for profession. I do this for fun, so you got to deal with my son. He's pretty dang cute most of the time. So let's see. There's the orbital bombardment, so now he has to choose how he's going to distribute this damage, and that's going to be big. So there's the Flotsam move. There's the board wipe. He does do the damage. He didn't put any. Well, I guess it didn't matter in the end because he's not going to have any kind of fight there. So now we go move back over to Ugluk. Ugluk is going to go straight into shadows, and he's going to use a subtle maul, play miasma to slow him down at least a little bit, and try to see if he can find more answers to this the second key. And he's going to push ahead in Amber to try to get to key number 2 first, which it's a good chance he would. Well, no, he couldn't get him off 6. Oh, that wasn't a miasma. That was a whistling darts. My bad. That was a bad call on my part. But yeah, sorry. Sometimes the art is fuzzy on these replays. All right. Alright, so I was able to quell Harlan at a farther distance, so you guys don't have to listen to the craziness that is his iPad, hopefully. But we see this game just keeps moving, like back and forth, dukes up. So Rodion is up to 2 keys, and now he's just going to try to figure out how to close out this game and end it. And Ugluk is going to try to deny that and basically do his best to continue on and defend his sanctimonious title of the Lord of Adaptive. You feel like if he doesn't win the tournament, then it was a failed season for him with such a grandiose title. But he's actually already shown that he is more than capable of playing this game. So there we go. Now we're seeing the same trick that Ugluk played in the first round, where he used his key abduction to get the max value out of Gromid. Rodion took notes, and he came back and used the same trick with the key abduction to make sure you get rid of that horrible creature Gromid. So A plus there. I think that's a great adaptive card to play because a lot of opponents that don't know better will maybe play it and trap themselves with the Gromid, and the Gromid is absolutely horrible most of the time. 99.9% is most of the time, by the way. It is a horrible, horrible creature. It does bad things for you and slows your game down considerably. So we see a nice turn here with a bunch of pretty good Logos cards coming into play, and Helper Bot getting used to bring in a Yancey gang. So the board is back to something respectable, and we're at 2 keys apiece again because Ugluk was able to forge his key. So now the race is on. It is 2-0 Amber right now, and Rodion has to figure out how he's going to navigate this to a victory, if he can. And it looks like there's going to be a Sanctum play, yeah. Sanctum turn here coming up with free markets getting value. Then you play the Barista and the Marmuk the Marked, mostly because the Barista is going to slow down what Logos is trying to do here. And he didn't really have a way to get rid of the Sutterkin, so now he's going to hope that there's not a better way for Ugluk to spike his value and go big. So Ugluk now has some choices to make as well. This turn is going to be pretty big. And again, we're just waiting to see what comes of this matchup as there is a little bit of a back and forth going on here. Ugluk taking his time to think out his turn as it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a critical one. So the back's against the wall. The best players will shine. So let's see what happens here. As Rodion is pushing to try to end this match. I'll tell you right now that there are some massive plays in the works if you look at these two people's hands. So there's the Mars needs Ember play. Gain some Amber off of it. Does the destroy them all. Gets rid of the interesting. Gets rid of the Marmuk. The Marmuk marked and doesn't get rid of the Joya. So I'm guessing he's looking to go back. Like Joya seems like that would have been a big play for him. But I guess because he has Yancey gangs and they run off of actions, the Joya doesn't really stop him from taking Amber. So there's the big brain play there. Trying to figure out like how he's thinking. And he knows the Marmuk is gonna take Amber just for fighting, right? Every bit of shield is an extra Amber he gets to take back. So, but that is a capture mechanic. So we'll see what happens. We see Rodion going into the Shadows house here and looking to assert some dominance with some throwing stars, and basically follows up with the Merkins. The Merkins only hits a poke, so this is interesting. Like, what does he poke here? I think he has to poke the Sutterkin, right? Just on the principle. Like I could see that there's a standardized testing in hand, which is kind of huge and kills a lot of stuff, but interesting, interesting choices. These are those moments. going to get to draw a card off the poke most likely. So he pokes the Ronnie. He thinks the Ronnie is the threat, which is probably the like with him going to check, it might be the only out in that lineup as far as the ability to pull back. He has to go shadows, and basically at this point he thinks he's using the Yahtzee gang, but he might just end up swindling it and shifting it with the swindle. So we'll see what happens there. But there comes the Lamindra. And a Dust Chronicles. So playing that Lamindra was actually could be bad for him as far as the future of this goes because of we know that the standardized testing is there. So it's basically protecting all his 2-power creatures as he would be able to get value off the 2-power, the killing the Lamindra and the Barista using standardized testing. So it'd be interesting to see where Ugluk goes with this turn. As I think it's still the right thing to just swindle and take 3 and then see what happens next time around, but we'll see what he decides. So we indeed see that there's a lot of options on the table right now, but I think swindle is still the play. He does go shadows, so that's a sign that he's going to swindle for 3. Put himself closer to check and try to get in striking range and try to keep his opponent off the play here. And he does know what's left in his deck, so um, it'll be interesting to see where Rodion goes with this. So after a bit of a wait, we see that Rodion is going to make his move here, and his decision was to go with Mars. And so now he's playing Proliferator. He does have the Duskworm, or the Collector Worm, I should say. Sorry. Not going to get as much. Takes the Amber off the Spike. Really ends turn. Oh no, he Mars first did the Proliferator. So again, he's going to push his Amber count up. And he puts himself at a critical threat now for Ugluk to have to deal with. Again. So Ugluk decides to go into Logos, and he decides also to pick up his archives. So we wait, and he discards his Eureka here. And he's playing Igor. His tournament life is on the line at this point, so he has to get something out of this play. So where is he going to go with this? So he is digging right now. So now he plays the standardized testing, and that frees up his Sudderkin for value now. Like this is going to be crazy. He's going to draw a ton of like creatures and cards off of this Sudderkin. He's drawing 5 cards deep, and he had the Helper Bot, and he draws into the Miasma, which is an out for him to basically now he can just basically reap out and put the miasma on Rodion and make Rodion deal with the aftermath of that. And Rodion acknowledging him with a nice one. So the beautiful play there, the long game, and I don't know how Rodion is going to be able to get past that. That's nuts. And there's the concede. So Ugluk remains. He remains in. Well, not a concede, but just a pass back to him. So, oh, he key abducted. Okay, there you go. That's how you got it there. So double helper bot. Martian helping out the Logos cause, and boom, that game ended just like that. What a play by Ugluk. That might be the best play I've seen so far in this tournament. So you got to witness that. Go back and watch that one again. What a play. Amazing. And now we're going to head off to game 3 after they chain bid and stuff, but we'll update you on where we're at the beginning of next round. So they are now bidding right now as we speak. It looks like Rodion has upped the bet. All right, yeah, it looks like the bet is going to be at 6 with Rodion on the play, and that's where we'll come back to here in just a couple of seconds while we take this break. An epic run. Next win takes that person to the top 4, and we're coming back at you soon. Don't miss a minute of the action. And we're back at it, and we're going to take this thing home as round 3 starts with Rodion at 6 chains and Ugluk getting to play his deck that he has won many adaptive matches with. So where will this go? What will happen? I don't know. Is 6 chains the right bid? We'll find out as we get the epic conclusion of this awesome battle between Ugluk and Rodion. So Rodion on the play comes out and busts the board with a collector worm. But Ugluk, it looks like he's in a good position right here to get some value as he plays a Merkins. Merkins is going to grab him some value here. As Merkins reveals a swindle, not actually any value. And then he's going to follow up with the Lamindra. And he does play the rig lottery, so he does get off to a 2-1 start early on in this matchup. So we'll see where that lands him. As it looks like Rodion is going to come back in shadows. And he is going to look to make the best out of this situation as the game progresses. Gets a Yancey gang in the playing in the Dusk Chronicles to gain some amber and get up to 3, and then he pushes back to Ugluk. Ugluk looks like he's going to respond by playing Sanctum this turn, and why not? And adds Barista Joya to the mix, as that could end up being a big play if there's no way to get rid of the Joya, but there is a Destroy Them All in hand, but then there's an Abad, there's a Prince Durik as well. So now we have a board, and Ugluk is at 5. He's exploded to 5 amber already, and he's pushing hard on Rodion while Rodion is still under chains. This is a pretty solid draw for Ugluk. A good start. And Rodion has to contemplate where he wants to go with his next move. And as we wait, both of these competitors have had epic runs to this point. Nothing to ever hang their head about. They both have demonstrated very capable knowledge of piloting their deck. Both of them have pretty much been on the same deck the whole ride, um, and who knows what we'll see from one of these guys in the top four. But I'm assuming that they would be on the same deck again because this is the one that they know best for adaptive. And I think at this point it's like you need to beat me. I'm not going to get beat with a deck that I don't love. So here we go, Rodion playing Igor and trying to find some value here in the engine. It does have a Harlan Mindlock, which could be used to snag maybe the Joya. I don't know. We'll see. Um, so Igor. Got a poke as well. You can poke the Lamina, draw an extra card. Yep, exactly what happens here. Now we're going to see the Titan, or the Director of ZYX, not the Titan Librarian. Both great cards. And the Harlock has to come down here. He's probably debating what he really wants to take out of these. I think you have to take the Joya. It's the one that gives you the most value. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So he takes the Merkins. Merkins is an interesting choice. It did end up denying his opponent an Amber though, so there was obviously something correct in that choice. And now we're seeing the Harlan Mindlock dying and bringing the Merkins back, which does ended up not denying him an Amber. But Ugluk is quickly up to 9-10 Amber this turn easily, and just pressing along on Rodion. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see. These chains are definitely slowing down this deck a little bit, and I don't see a lot of Logos in hand, which is a bad sign for Rodion. He does have the destroy them all to get rid of the Joya to give himself a chance to at least start to do things, but things are getting pretty crazy for Ugluk over there as he just continues to pile on Amber. His deck makes a lot of Amber. We talked about that in the very beginning in the key points. And here you're getting to see this deck and what it does. Like, it just quietly makes a ton of Amber. So there's the collector worm. He's gonna eats the Abad. Oh, and we're gonna see the special package wipeout ends, and then we're gonna see the key abduction bring back the collector worm and reset it, and leaves Prince Derek on the board, but just kills the Joya. So kudos on that play. Interesting sequence anyway. So Ugluk up to his first key and already threatening his second key here, and he's going to again just push Amber and make Rodion have to deal with it. Until Rodion does something to slow down Ugluk, there's no reason why he takes his foot off the gas here. So you're going to see him play max amount of value for the max amount of Amber, and he's going to just continue to recycle good things. Yeah, he brings back the orbital bombardment. So it's in the archives here. So And he has a Mars first and a key abduction in hand, so that's 3 more amber he can generate. Like he could be onto his 3rd key before Rodion even gets off of, like finishes getting off his chains. So it's looking pretty promising for Ugluk at this point, and the Lord of Adaptive is putting down his iron fist on his throne as he continues to push forward in this event and put pressure on the Brazilian upstart who came out of nowhere. I have never even seen him online or anything, and Rodion had a epic run through the tournament. And he came out of Group A, which had a lot of really good talent, and he's played nothing but like top quality people this whole way. So he has absolutely nothing to be ashamed about here. But Ugluk is looking very strong at this point. You see him pushing it forward. There's like a reap to try to start to pull some value back, but he still doesn't even get to 6 to where he can make a key. And Ugluk is on his 2nd key, and already 1 amber into his 3rd key, so he could bring Mars back here and get a ton of value, or he could wait a little bit. Oh, he's gonna stun the board. That's crippling, and then he's gonna get a little bit of value there off of the Derek Reap. So he's at 3, and he is well within striking distance of putting Rodion out of the league. But Rodion will be back next season, and he will be stronger than ever. I am sure of it. But this is not looking good. 6 chains, a little bit too much without drawing the logos early. Unfortunate, but sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, folks. In this case, the cookie monster is Ugluk. Ugluk now looking to basically press his advantage again, I would think. Yep, he goes into it, brings back the orbital bombardment, and now he's going to get to kill the Sutterkin and the Titan Librarian. Just wipes the board up again. There is no traction for Rodion this game as Ugluk continues to just mount pressure and put keys on the board. This thing is looking pretty close to over, folks, as Ugluk goes to 7 on a 2-0 key count. I can't fathom a way for Rodion to turn this game around at this point with the amount of presence and cards that I see in Ugluk's hand. Rodion basically conceding, saying he has no chance here, and he's going to play some cards just to play the cards, and then we'll see the 3rd key forged for Ugluk. And there you have it. The Lord of Adaptive comes through with a bang, bomb, pow, and just ends this 3rd game in record time as he is able to come out and be a value magnet, right? Like he played a straight value game. That one came out high rolling and just really good, while Rodion was on the bad side of bad. So good games to Rodion. Amazing play by Ugluk. Ugluk's tournament life was on the line in the 2nd round, if you remember, and he made a brilliant play with that Logos turn. So I think that was the best sequence I've seen so far in this tournament. But with that said, thank you for tuning in to this first of top 8 matchups. 3 more to come this week. Stay tuned. This was a Keyforge Premier League presentation, and don't forget that there is a tournament coming up on December 5th, so make sure you visit the Crazy Killing Machine website and register for that event, as it will sponsor Season 2 of the Keyforge Premier League.